Good evening, Sector 001. I'm TJ Yasnak, your host for the Jupiter Station podcast. And tonight's guest is relatively new in Star Trek. I've seen her in Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and I'm fairly sure we're going to see her in Star Trek Section 31, but we're not talking about that tonight. But if you'll all welcome Miss Avaah Blackwell to the show. Hi,
Hi.
Ava.
Hey, TJ. How are you?
So far, so good. Thanks for taking time out and meeting with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, definitely. So, first things first, and I ask this of all my guests, can you give us a little background of who you are?
Yeah. I'm Avaah Blackwell. I'm an actor and stunt performer, and I do both on Star Trek. Started on Star Trek Discovery as Osnalis or Nolly to a lot of the inner niche fans. And then I moved on to play basically every utility alien you could imagine on Star Trek Discovery. And then when Strange New Worlds came, I started stunt doubling Rebecca Romaine.
Which is no small task.
No small task. She's awesome.
So, what's that like?
Doubling Rebecca?
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. She's great. Our stunt coordinator, Neil Davison, is amazing. I've been a fan of her forever, and I was, they always talk about like not meeting your idols and stuff, but I met one of my idols, and she's lovely. She's great to work with, easygoing, lovely.
What's not to like about that? So have you been a Star Trek fan?
Yeah, I mean, I was a pretty big fan when I was a kid. My mom and I used to watch Star Trek Voyager together when I was little. I'd always fall asleep watching it on her lap. It was really nice. So it instilled a nice appreciation for the Star Trek philosophy early on in my young years.
Well, I can completely understand. That's pretty much what's kind of brought me some balance in life is knowing when to bring the Trek on and when to bring the Trek on some more.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
in that, are there any sports that you're a big fan of?
Any sports?
Like any martial arts type
Oh
sports?
yeah, tons. I mean, that is my true passion. I did karate as a kid. I did competitive karate for 10 years. That was my introduction into martial arts. As a little girl growing up in Midwest Canada, we had a karate dojo and I got into it and got super into it. And then from there, I went on to do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Muay Thai. I train at the Inosanto Academy down in LA under Guru Dan Inosanto. So for any martial arts heads around, they'll know that that's a pretty special place to be, where I do a bunch of Filipino martial arts and silat. And yeah, it's awesome.
Wow. So
Hmm.
just like Dr. Mbanga in real life has a
Yeah,
third
yes.
degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
I'm not
um,
quite there. Yeah, you're right. He is like
you're
the jujitsu
definitely
guy.
closer than I am.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I said you're definitely closer to it than I am. I am but a tiny itty bitty black white belt.
That's okay. White belt's better than no belt. White
True.
belt is like where it all begins. Yeah, no, jujitsu's awesome. And Babs is great. And he's no joke. Like he just any martial art. I've had some choreography with him and he picks it up really quick. He's awesome.
And to watch Babs in what was it? The season 2 episode 8. I can't even remember what it under the
Oh yeah. Let me look
something.
that up. Yeah, no, it's on the edge of my mind right now too. I don't think I was involved in that sequence, but he did an amazing job. And
But to be able to bring his real life martial arts experience into that, and
oh yeah. And I mean, our stunt coordinator, Neil, is like so down for any of that. When actors bring ideas to it, he does everything he can. And when they have a skill that they want to show off, Neil does everything he can to make sure it's incorporated.
I mean, and to be honest, that just made me like Dr. Mbenga's character even more. I'm like,
Yeah,
he knows jujitsu too. Like, yeah.
he knows jujitsu. Yeah, it's so cool.
I tell my kids, I said Brazilian jiu-jitsu so no one hits you.
Yeah, I mean, and if you are gonna, everybody should know some striking and some grappling. A lot of martial artists will say, and like a lot of the greats who have been doing it their whole life, if you know a little bit of like Kali, Arnis, and a little bit of jujitsu, you're set because it's standing the ground.
And I'm prior law enforcement myself, so I
Are you?
can remember
Cool.
like going through my academy and learning how to do the I was correctional law enforcement, so we had to learn what was called the code of karate. And
Mm-hmm.
then years later learning jujitsu, I'm like, why didn't I learn this first? Like this would have been so much more helpful.
I know it. I mean, I had that thought too when I started learning jujitsu. But you kind of in martial arts, you just sort of like you enter where you enter and you tumble around for a bit, and then you figure out what's actually useful and what's actually good. But that's awesome. Thank you for your service, sir.
Just just another day on the job. I'm an outbound volunteer firefighter right now, so I'm down to like my last 2 weeks or so before I retire from that. And I'm a
Hey,
career school bus driver. So let me just cover up my employer here.
goose that out, Greek that out.
But
Well, I think that last job is the hardest. No joke. Being
I
a
have
school
no
bus driver,
idea.
ooh,
I
especially you're in the
have
States, right? Wow,
I have told my officers at the firehouse that I really think that being a school bus driver is actually harder and more dangerous than being a firefighter. Because as a
likely.
firefighter, literally, you get off the truck and it's the same thing every time. You follow the same checklist and it goes basically the same way. The only
Yep,
time at my actual paid job where anything goes the same is when I check the bus in the morning and when I check it in the afternoon. Between those 2 points, it is anything goes, and
complete
I don't think a lot
chaos.
of people realize that.
Yep. No,
Um,
I mean I realize that I was a child on those buses. I was terrible. I was your worst nightmare.
so there's hope. So my problem children someday will grow up to be Star Trek stars and
Yeah,
hunt
exactly.
people,
Just get them
so
into martial arts. Honestly, as soon as I started getting into martial arts, it's funny because as soon as you get into martial arts, you realize you start behaving a lot better because it gives you an outlet for it. It gives you discipline, community. It like set my life straight for sure.
oh, I definitely see the community and the discipline, um, and maybe that's why it's so easy for you to work in the Trek community because you already have that established sense of community.
Yeah, that's what one of the things I really loved about it is the first day I got on set on Discovery, it was like, oh, this is a family. People are together and they take care of each other, and it and they're all centered around the philosophy of Trek, and that's the message that we're putting out into the world. And I was like, that is something I really, really, really want to be a part of.
And to be
Mm.
honest, I couldn't say I love it anymore because that's exactly what I look at. Like, being able to have hope for a better future. And just because things are a dumpster fire today doesn't mean that they're going to be a dumpster fire, in the future. So it definitely follows through with the Roddenberry ethos of things will get better.
Yes, here's hoping
Crossing fingers.
that life imitates art in this case.
Sometimes. Um, so I'm gonna guess that your favorite part of working on the Star Trek shows is that sense of community then?
Yeah, for sure. And you know, they keep when you kind of fit and people understand that you are there to add in whatever way you can, they keep bringing you back, which is really nice.
And I absolutely love, everybody says, "Oh, it's new Trek. Oh, that's not real Trek." Like, no, 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 no. You know what? All Trek is real Trek. It's whether or not somebody can wrap their head around it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Like I
I,
was not the biggest fan of Discovery when it first came out, but it grew on me. And with season 5 last year, I'm like, oh, I can't wait until this comes on and see what happens. And when they made that humongous jump to the 31st century, I think that was what was able to kind of like separate it, because everybody's like, this happens before Captain Kirk. Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, you're not alone in that whole journey with Discovery. And but Discovery was like the one, it was sort of the battering ram for the new age of Trek, right? And it was the
Yeah.
evolution, and nothing had happened in a while, so they they boldly went. And it was
And J.J.
it
Abrams
was a
might
big
get mad at
shock
me
for a
for
lot.
this.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And
No.
J.J. Abrams might get mad at me for this, but I'm not really a big fan of the Abrams verse. Like, I like Chris Pine and I like those guys, and the movies are okay, but they kind of missed the mark. Like it's more of an action movie than it is an actual exploration, looking at us as flawed but learning kind of movie. I mean, it was an excellent movie from an action standpoint, but like the TV shows and the original movies and the next gen movies, those got the crux of the Roddenberry umbrella, basically.
hmm
So
And I think they were trying to make like different flavors for everybody while still staying underneath the umbrella of Trek. So I think that might be like there's a little bit of something for everybody, I think.
absolutely. Like
Yeah.
when they brought Picard back, I'm like, is he really ready for this? Because at this point, he's an admiral, he's old, he's
hmm
in his 80s, and they brought it back for 3 seasons, and I loved it. In fact,
Yeah.
season 2, you see a ship in the season 2 episode 1 and season 2 episode 10, and it's a little Inquiry class starship called the Nathan Hale.
Really?
I got that there. Yeah, I ended up
Oh, cool.
messaging Dave Blass and just randomly spitballing. I was like, "Hey, would you ever consider a background ship?" I said, "I'm not even worried about it, actually showing up in an episode. Like, just something in the background, like you drive by it in space dock or something." And he said, "Oh, well, tell me more." And I gave him the rundown. Like, we're a chapter of a Star Trek fan club, and this is the ship we're assigned, and this, that, and the other thing. And I got what I thought was the typical Hollywood, "All right, yeah, keep watching. We'll let you know." And I'm not a spring chicken. I'm like, "Okay, thanks for your time. Sorry to bother you," and just went on doing my thing. And sure enough, season 2, episode 1 hits, and my chapter president messages me, and all I see is, "What did you do?"
Oh no.
I don't know. Am I in the
What did
chief's
I do?
office here too? What did I do, Mike? And he sends me a picture with a little red circle around it, and I'm looking. I'm like, that says USS Nathan Hale. Yeah, what the hell did you do? I'm like, I I just sent the Twitter message. I didn't think he'd actually do it. Sorry. Don't be
That's
sorry.
awesome.
Like, we're right there. And like a week later we're in Cannon, and
That's
it
so
just
cool.
it snowballed. And I called my brother. My brother and I have loved Star Trek since we were like this big. I said, "So, who got his geek club on Star Trek? Did you?" "No." "That's right, I did."
That
Like,
was
"I'm king
me.
of the geeks. Bow down to me."
Love it.
And my brother's like, "I hate you." "Why?" "'Cause you're cooler than I am, and not."
Because you're a cooler geek than I am.
That
Nerd.
so I'm the older
My
brother.
sister does the same
That's
thing
how
to
it
me. Oh yeah.
goes.
Are you the older one? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest too. Yeah.
We're just awesomer than the little ones. That's all. I mean,
Yeah, in a low key way and in a surprising way. And they're like, what? They think they're so much cooler until we flex just a little.
like, mhm.
Yeah.
Like, know your place, little brother. Know your place. But
I'm in Star Trek canon. What about
and
you?
and and that's the thing. Like, I've noticed by doing this podcast, especially, a lot of the people who do Star Trek are really just down to earth people. And like when we were kids watching the show, we're like, "Oh, that would be so cool if I could meet them, and they'd be so big and humongous, and you know they put their pants on 2 legs at a time, going a million miles an hour with their hair on fire, and then you meet them and you're like, oh, they're just like me. Oh, that's even cooler because than the regular people.
Yeah, I felt the same way when I got to set and just meeting everybody. I was like, everybody's so cool, so chill.
Like, I got the chance to interview Todd Stashwick, and I think you've been on
Oh, yeah.
12 Monkeys.
Yeah, that was my very first actor role in a union TV series. I met Todd that day. He was super cool.
And he's ridiculously down to earth, and I love that about him
Hmm.
because he'll tell you exactly how it is, and hey, you got the name wrong, but that's okay because you're interested in what I'm talking about, and it's not that big of a deal if you make a mistake. And just the way I've conducted these interviews has improved because I'm more comfortable with it. I'm able to talk more.
Yeah, it's
Um,
something you can
I
only
used
get
to start
better
with
at
like
by
a
practice.
clipboard, and I have
Oh,
like a
cool.
checklist of questions, and now it's more like a conversation, which is really
Yeah,
what I'm kind of going for anyway.
that's great.
Speaking of conversations, are there any charities or causes that are close to you?
Well, right now, just the LA fires, anything to do with like helping out. It feels like they have a lot of donations and people available, but they just need funds at the moment. So the Red Cross is a great one to give to. And if you are a volunteer firefighter or anything, you can offer your skills in that way. They're I don't know where they are with that. I was just seeing on my friend's Instagram that they have a new fire up in Santa Clarita. If you're familiar with the greater LA area, Santa Clarita is just a little bit north
Vaguely.
of LA. Yeah, so it's a little bit north. So fires are still not contained. Um, and they just like there's a lot that needs to happen. So I mean, we were caught up in them. My partner and I we're in Burbank. Luckily, we never had to evacuate. We did lose power. We had some friends evacuate to our place. It was scary. I was trying to get out to work up here in Toronto, and I had 5 flights canceled, and luckily was able to get out 48 hours later on the fifth flight that I had tried to book. It was
Yeah,
wild.
and I had emailed with John Billingsley, and I was supposed to
Hmm.
actually get him on the show to talk about Trek Talks and the Hollywood Food Coalition, and he had to actually cancel because the fires were so close to his area that they were talking about evacuations and things like that. And actually, I'm probably gonna check in with him after I get off
Yeah,
the
do check in.
interview with you.
Yeah,
But
my heart
it's
goes out
it's
to everybody that was
mind
affected
blowing
by
that you
them.
you see so many of these people and you don't think it can happen to you, and then you see them on TV and it happened to them, and you're like, oh no,
Yeah,
and
and it happened so quick. It was just we were all going about our lives, and then everything was on fire, and then it just kept burning, and it's still burning. Um, yeah, my heart really goes out to everybody that was affected by it.
I can definitely say that here on the show we are definitely keeping everybody out there in our thoughts and our prayers, um and it means a lot to know that somebody's thinking of you. I know this from like the firefighter standpoint.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
even if you can't donate to the Red Cross or anything like that, even positive thoughts are better than nothing.
Mhm.
So
100%. And just reaching out to people and checking in, not expecting a response right away because when you get so many messages, it's exhausting to get back to. But it's just nice to know that people are thinking about you.
definitely. And
Hmm.
honestly, for you guys to be able to take, everybody says, oh well, celebrities this and celebrities that, but you guys actually take the job that you do and you're able to make a difference. Like you can get so much attention for a cause, or you know you take a portion of whatever you've made doing show A, B, C, or D, and you could actually apply that to your choice charity, or like you said, LA fire recovery and things like that. And
There's so many charities. I've been trying to, like, the only ones that I know of that are very, like, that are, there are many reputable charities, but there's so many, like, independent GoFundMe's for people who have lost their homes. And the Red Cross is a great one, like I said. And then I'm going to send you the link. It's an animal shelter in LA. It's in the Palisades that was taking in a bunch of animals that were victims of, like, that were basically had to be abandoned during the fire because people couldn't get back to their homes to get their animals out. So firefighters were bringing the animals to the shelter and dropping them off. I'll send you the link once I find it after the show here, and maybe you can put it in the show notes.
definitely. And um, if you use Facebook, great. I think I sent you a friend request.
Did you? Okay, I'm rarely on there, but I will definitely accept your friend request. Let me do it right now.
And of course, you're on Instagram and Twitter and all those things. Or have you dropped Twitter? I think a lot of people have kind of
I'm
dropped
I'm
Twitter like a bad habit.
I'm locked out of my Twitter account, to be honest with you, so I'm trying to drop it, but I can't even get into my account to drop it. So, ooh.
It'll fall off the server eventually. It's
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. Yeah, but I'm the most active on Instagram. I'm not, and and I'm on Facebook for sure.
Definitely. Well, I do a lot of Opus Clip stuff, so it's like basically make shorts and things. So I can definitely tag
Cool.
you to those, and it'll go to your Instagram, so it'll draw attention to your fans and stuff.
Great. That would be awesome. Yeah, anything I can share to my story or whatever, just let me know.
Oh, absolutely. See, this is why I got into this, because 9,000% of the people who are involved in Star Trek are just as personable as you. So
Thanks.
I
Trying to
gotta
find your
say
friend
this.
request.
Hmm?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find your friend request. I'll
Just
find it. Oh,
just
here
look
it
for
is.
a
I
guy
got
who's
you. There it is. I found it.
there. We are.
Just accepted. There you are.
Oh yeah, that's me and my phaser.
That's you. And your phaser. Set phasers to stunning.
Background eraser apps are dangerous, but
I
oh
know.
so fun.
They're oh so fun. What do you have
But
in the
oh,
background here? What
where do I want to
what
put
ship is this?
myself?
That's
This
cool.
is the conference room for the USS
Yeah, for
Titan.
the Titan. Cool.
So Todd
Sweet.
Stashwick actually stood there.
Cool.
So, but virtual
Sweet.
backgrounds and things like that, that's I am a big geek when it comes to stuff like that.
Love it.
Um,
As you can see,
let me
I am not.
No, there's nothing wrong with having a regular background too. It's just um having a brain fart here. Um, so did you like Discovery or Strange New Worlds better?
I love all my children equally. They're just they're different experiences, right? Discovery, I was cast. Strange New Worlds, I'm stunts. I've been a stunt safety, stunt double, ND stunt performer, a stunt actor on Strange New Worlds. So it's like I've only been stunts on that show. Oh, and the Gorn arm performer, which was it was like a stunty creaturey thing, which is my favorite like title of anything I've ever done. Gorn
Those,
arm performer.
those Gorn scare the hell out of me.
Aren't they
10
great?
times worse than anything.
So good. So good.
Like my 4-year-old daughter will watch the musical with me,
Oh, I
and
love the musical episode.
she can't seem to get enough of it. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, well let's expand past musical. So, you know, we watched a few more of those, and then I see one that has the Gorn. I'm like, yeah, honey, let's find another one for you.
Fast
Like,
forward. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you don't want to
It's
watch this.
scary. I'm so happy they did it though, because it's just a nice piece of Trek canon that was brought into the new age of Trek and done so well. You know what I mean?
Things they couldn't do in 1966
Yeah,
because of budgets and
exactly.
stuff. Like
Hmm.
you see the big muscly Gorn fighting Captain Kirk, and Captain Kirk is hitting him with like the two-handed punch, and they're just going to town at that park outside of Los Angeles somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, what is that? It's not Runyon. It's the caves. The name's escaping me.
I'll probably
Okay.
remember it after we get off the interview anyway. But
Yeah,
you know,
we'll
you
put it in the
take
show notes.
that and then you upgrade it to like what we see now, and I'll be honest, those things terrify me. I'm like,
They're
oh
so
no.
scary.
Like
I know they were
I've
extra
told
spicy. I love it.
I've told my my fan club chapter president, I'm like, mm-mm. Said not going anywhere near Gorn without at least a security team and maybe a cannon or like a photon torpedo. But yeah, I'm not going by myself in a dark room.
No, don't.
Mm-mm.
I wouldn't recommend it.
And it's funny. Like when we were kids, we're like grab a phaser, walk into the dark room, pew pew pew, and nope, mm-mm, not
Mm-mm.
doing that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I've been burned before. I'm not gonna get burned
Like, ha,
even
ha,
worse
ha,
again.
I saw this movie.
Yeah.
I know what happens under that bed.
Mm-hmm.
No. So,
Nope.
um, well, I think that just about covers it for tonight. Um,
Great.
Again, thank you for joining us. And I will let you know as soon as I push pause on the record, when this is gonna go to film. So bear
Cool.
with me just a sec here.
We at Jupiter Station have partnered with Purple Carrot to bring you the highest quality vegan offerings available directly to your home. Go to purplecarrot.com today and check it out.
All right, next up on the show, I'm reviewing the movie Star Trek Section 31. Despite the misgivings of many, I decided to check out this particular version of Star Trek. I found it was adequately filled with appropriate humor and sarcasm, as well as the here's the rule book, let's use it till we throw it out, that we've come to know in Star Trek. That's us off in the beginning, going over Emperor Philippa Georgiou's backstory. Given what we know of the Terran Empire, we were given a sufficient initial backstory of how Emperor Giorgio came to power. The level of violence they would exercise was understandable and weirdly appropriate to the mannerisms of most Mirror Universe characters we've gotten to know over the years. I found that the writers showcased their ability to operate in both worlds, between the backstory and the present day, as well as their ability to tie them together. I'll be the first to say I didn't expect to see Giorgio's character develop quite as it did. For someone with, in the words of Lieutenant Garrett, a lack of moral compass, she did an amazing job of demonstrating that she could be both cold and calculating, as well as empathetic and loving. Then they also went into the Section 31 operations. And for a clandestine organization such as Section 31 to effectively work as a team, this seemed like a slightly different version than what we were used to. Instead of one or two operatives working autonomously, we see a team of 6 with clearly defined roles and assignments. And instead of the dark, seedy character of Luther Sloan, who was played deftly by William Sadler in Deep Space Nine, the working to compromise an operative like we saw, instead we see Omari Hardwick's character, Alak Sahar, attempting to stop a superweapon and bringing an operative back in under her own power. I felt this was a good old-fashioned spy movie. Unlike previous iterations of Section 31, this version feels more like James Bond and Ocean's 11 meet Star Trek. From gadgets to tactics and everything in between, this very much was an enjoyable movie. For the diehard Trekkies, you need to wrap your head around Section 31. This isn't your grandfather's Star Trek, that's for sure, but it still embodies the ethos that Gene Roddenberry started so many years ago. Of those operatives, we have Alak Sahar, the leader, Philippa Georgiou, we all know the Emperor, Rachel Garrett as a young Starfleet lieutenant who basically is the balancing point for Section 31 to not go too far. You got Quasi, who is a camelid shapeshifter, basically disguises himself as any person for any mission. A little thing that almost looks like a tardigrade named Fuzz, fun-loving guy with a very serious anger management problem. And then there's Zeph, the human agent who lives in a mechanical exoskeleton. As ragtag as they come, the Section 31 team comes from different parts of the galaxy, and under Alex's leadership, they somehow put it all together until they're betrayed from within. Despite their being betrayed, the team, with some personnel losses along the way, managed to discover their turncoat, seize the missing weapon, and save the day in true Star Trek fashion. If you like action, adventure, and thinking of how it fits in with Starfleet, then Section 31 is your movie. Here at Jupiter Station, we gave it 4 stars. And it's 4 stars out of 5. That's my review. I hope you folks enjoy it. Go out there and tell us what you think. Leave something in the comments below. I'll get back to you on those comments. You can email us at executive.producer@jupiterstationpodcast.com. Check out our Facebook. Check out our Instagram. Just check out our social media. And you could even check out our Patreon. I might put an update on Patreon. So look us up on Patreon, and I'll put it there too.